So I built and sold a successful self-publishing business. But even after that, I had a lot of excuses for me to not go on YouTube. I wanted to go on YouTube, but like I said, I had a lot of excuses, so I was avoiding it. I had all these limiting beliefs about why I don't want to do YouTube. And the reality is I had to find a way to overcome it. And today I'm going to share with you how you can do the same and just get online and start creating a YouTube channel, start creating content, and build a business. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to tell you to just be yourself, right? And I get it. That is, I guess, the logical thing to go to, just be yourself. But the reality is, if that advice worked for a lot of people, then you wouldn't be watching this video, right? And then you wouldn't be looking for solutions to that problem, right? So I get it. You have to be yourself in a way when you make YouTube videos. But as you know, you're not the same person when you go to work. And you're not the same person when you hang out with your best friend, right? So people kind of have different personalities, if you want to call it that, when they are in specific situations, right? And some people might say, well, that's being fake. Well, that's what humans do, right? Because if you evaluate your own life, you'll know that you are acting differently in different situations, right? So at the moment, again, if you are, quote, just being yourself, then you won't need to look for solutions, right? If just being yourself was enough to solve your problem, then you wouldn't be having a problem, right? Because it would be enough. But for a lot of people, they have conditioned themselves into a certain way. So all those traits that they need to feel confident is buried somewhere inside. So we need to bring that out, right? So let's look at some excuses that we all have. You might have some of these excuses, you might have all of them or a combination of them. So let's just start there before we start looking at solutions to this challenge that a lot of people have that's stopping them from creating the life they want. So let's start with a common excuse. The first one is, I'm an introvert. Very common, right? And I get it. A lot of people are introverts, and that's something that holds them back because they see themselves as somebody that can add a lot of value on YouTube, and more importantly, create a little business for themselves which they can use to change their whole life and improve their lives and help the people in their lives. But somehow because they see themselves as an introvert, they just stop in their tracks, right? Because, they see themselves as an introvert, and that's the end of story, right? The next one is, number 2, is I'm not confident, right? I'm not a confident person. Very common thing for people to say to themselves when they make an excuse about YouTube and say, I'm not a confident person, so I can't make videos, right? And this links up with the next excuse. My voice sounds bad, right? This is something that I also thought before I started making videos. I was thinking, well, do I have the right voice to make YouTube videos, all these kind of things. And this is quite a common thing, right? People don't think they sound good on camera. The next one is very closely related. They say, I don't look good on camera, right? If you think you don't look good on camera, well, it's a very common thing. People think they look weird on cameras, and this is another thing that keeps people back from taking action. The next one is, I stumble over my own words, right? Or I'm not a good speaker, something like that. So again, people think that because they're not a good public speaker or they don't speak smoothly, that somehow they can't be a content creator, right? Because they don't think they're smooth enough, or just not good enough to speak on camera. And it links up with the next one. People don't think they're charismatic, right? They don't think they're smooth enough, charismatic enough to to be on YouTube because they see all these people on YouTube that has like 100,000 followers and think that's how they started. And the reality is they didn't. The most successful creators that you see online, they took a lot of time before they got there. Now, yes, there are outliers. There are people who just naturally, they are talented, gifted, or they just have the best version of themselves out there that, as cliche as that sounds, that they just find it natural to perform on camera. And yes, that is a thing. But for a lot of people, this holds them back. They don't think they are the charismatic type. The next thing, people will judge me, right? This is a big fear. People think, well, people are going to judge me because, I'm not a YouTube person. I'm not a real creator. All these things hold them back because, they're afraid people are going to judge them. And yeah, if you put yourself out there, people are going to judge you. But there's ways to overcome this fear, right? The next thing, and this links up with this, people will judge me. What will people think? People will think what they think, right? But this is a valid excuse, I guess. What do people think? So a lot of people get held back by this fear of what will people think. So there you have the list of excuses that or the most common ones that I know about. And, you might recognize some of these excuses in your own life, or you might have a combination of them, right? Or maybe there's something else that's not on this list. But the reality is that, or the real problem is that you are waiting to become someone else, right? You're waiting to be somebody else. And if you keep on waiting, you're going to wait for a long time, right? Because it takes a while to kind of develop yourself in a way to become somebody else. And, the worst part of that is because people wait, they kind of start overthinking this thing and then eventually they just give up, right? So that's the worst case scenario. You don't need to fix yourself right now, right? So just start acting as a different version of yourself, and that's going to lead you to start working on this goal of yours to create a channel or build a business, right? In order to do this, right, we need to create an alter ego. And how do we do this? Well, enter the alter ego effect. This is a book that I read a while ago, and I've mentioned it before on this channel. The book is called The Alter Ego Effect, and it's written by a guy named Todd Herman. And he is a high performance coach that helps a lot of professional athletes, professional business people, professional entertainers like singers, pop stars, you name it. And this guy has helped very high profile people, but he also helps people that isn't, they're not so high profile. The point is, he's a very experienced high performance coach. And, he experienced something interesting, and that is that a lot of these people that you think is naturally confident, naturally gifted, and they just, you assume that they just have everything together from the beginning. It's just not true. Most of these people also have the same challenges that we have as YouTube creators, the same mental challenges, the same self-doubt and lack of confidence at times, right? And of course, that confidence, they grow into it, but they need to find ways to overcome this when they started out in their game, right? Or in their business or whatever. So something interesting that he noticed was that a lot of these elite performers, they are not themselves when they're under pressure, right? They're just not, like I said earlier, they're not the version of themselves that you see usually when they, in a casual conversation or with their friends. These people become somebody else when they are under pressure. And what they do is they activate a specific version of themselves, right? And this is what this coach Todd Herman does. He coaches people to activate this version of themselves, bring it out so that they can overcome any challenge that they have. Because sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, we're just not acting, we're not the version that we need to be to reach our goals. And we can't wait forever until we get there, right? We need to make it happen now. So these methods that Todd Herman coaches is very effective to bring out this better version, right? So like I mentioned earlier, you already have multiple selves inside of you. And I'm not going to name the examples again. You know, I've already said you act differently in different scenarios. So the different versions you have is going to be appropriate to different scenarios, right? Again, you're going to be at work, you're going to be that appropriate to that scenario, right? When you're at home, you're going to be appropriate to that scenario. And you might say, well, this is fake. It's not fake, right? Again, we have different levels. We are multi-layered as human beings, right? And we all have different life experiences. And sometimes the parts of us that we really need get pushed down because maybe you went to a specific school where, you know, people kind of broke down your self-confidence, or maybe a bad experience, or maybe it's just a fear that built up in you and it kind of suppressed all the qualities within you that is naturally confident and charismatic and all the things you need to make YouTube videos, right? So it's not being fake, you're being strategic. Because again, you have these goals that you want to reach. You want to build a business. You want to have a YouTube channel, right? And in order for you to start making that happening right now, you need to have a strategy, right? So you're not being fake, you're being strategic. So famous examples of people who have used similar methods are people like Kobe Bryant, the famous basketball player, one of the best that ever played the game. Unfortunately, he's not around anymore, but, you know, he used to mention that when he went on the court, he wasn't Kobe anymore. He became the Black Mamba, all right? And the Black Mamba was the character that was uncompromising, clinical, professional, just ruthless on the court, right? But when he was off the court, he was just laid back Kobe. He was somebody else, right? He was a different version of himself when he was off the court compared to when he was on the court, right? Because he would become the Black Mamba when he was on the court, right? So that was his alter ego, the Black Mamba. And obviously, you know, he was highly successful doing that. Another guy was Bo Jackson. He was also the famous athlete. He was both a baseball player and a football player. He also had an alter ego called Jason, right? Based on a famous movie character. And that character brought out the best version of him for that specific scenario that he was in. Another famous example is the pop star Beyonce. Believe it or not, when she started out, she wasn't as confident as she is now, right? She had the same struggles that most people have, right? They struggle with certain things, and she found this alter ego called Sasha Fierce, which was just this confident, outgoing singer when she was on stage, right? So these are just a few examples of famous high performers that used alter egos to get to their goals faster. Now, eventually, you know, a lot of these people, you know, it just becomes who they are. It's just a part of them, right? But for you, maybe now as a beginner starting out, maybe it's not part of you. Obviously, it's not going to be part of you in the beginning. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. So obviously, you're going to do a little bit of work to create this, right? So that's what we are going to talk about next. We're going to talk about how we can create this alter ego. So this first step we're going to take is we're going to define the traits that you need, right? So this is actually pretty straightforward and pretty easy. You're obviously going to look at the excuses that you make already, right? So let's say, for example, you say you are not charismatic. So obviously the trait that you need is being charismatic, right? You need charisma. Maybe you feel you are not confident, so you need confidence, right? Maybe you need somebody that is very outgoing, right? Somebody that's very, can I say, who doesn't stumble over their words, right? So you need a good speaker, right? These are just examples of qualities that you can write down on your list. So make a list of traits or qualities that you want to adapt that at the moment you don't have, right? Things you need and things you admire, right? So that links up with step 2. You need to find a source of inspiration. Now again, this is also reasonably simple. Who are the people you admire that you think like, wow, I wish I could be like that person, right? Maybe it's a movie star or a movie character. Maybe it's somebody in your family, like a father or brother or sister. Maybe it's a professional sports person, or whoever you admire. You can get inspiration from them and take qualities of that person and write it down, right? So write down your sources of inspiration. That's step 2. Step 3, you need to give it a name, right? Whatever name, like Kobe called himself the Black Mamba, whatever you want to call yourself or call your alter ego, write it down. Think about a name that you like and write it down. Whether it's Jason or the Black Mamba or Sasha Fierce, whatever you want to choose, write down your name. Step 4, define your alter ego's mission, right? So for example, the Black Mamba, his mission was to win every game as ruthlessly as possible. I'm just guessing. I don't know what Kobe's mission was, but I guess he had a defined mission when he was playing. It's just an example. But define your alter ego's mission. Maybe it's to build a successful YouTube channel, or to be a successful creator or confident creator. Whatever your mission is with this alter ego or character, write it down. And then step 5 is you need to create a physical anchor, right? And a physical anchor, again, this is from the guy who wrote the book, Todd Herman. He said it's very important to create a physical anchor, right? This is the thing that's going to make the psychological shift that you need to bring this alter ego out, right? So you need to anchor this alter ego in your mind. So this could be, an anchor could be a shirt that you put on, or a hat, or when you sit down in the chair. It needs to be something that triggers this alter ego. Every time you do this specific action, you go into your alter ego, right? Now, of course, you can practice this, right? You can practice this whole process, but first thing is you got to go through these steps, right? So just quickly to recap: step 1, define the traits. Step 2, find a source of inspiration. Step 3, name your alter ego. Step 4, define the alter ego's mission. And step 5, create a physical anchor, right? Again, the physical anchor could be a shirt, a hat, a seat that you go sit in. Whatever it is, find a trigger. Or it could just be like clapping your hands once or twice. Whatever you choose, right? Find a psychological trigger. Now again, this is not fake, right? You are just activating parts within you that's already there, and you're bringing them out by using these mental tools, that is an alter ego, to help you overcome the challenges you're facing right now and reach your goals, right? Because you have this goal of creating a successful YouTube channel and a successful business and change your life, but it's not going to happen by itself, right? You got to make it happen. And the longer you wait, the better the chances you're not going to do it at all. You're just going to give up. And the reality is that's what most people do. They give up, right? They resist putting themselves in uncomfortable situations like in front of the camera, right? But believe it or not, you'll soon get used to it. I've been on YouTube now for almost 7 weeks, and I got to tell you, I'm a lot more comfortable now than I was at the beginning, right? So you can do this if you focus and keep an open mind, right? Because a lot of people might think, well, this is fake, this is not going to work. Okay, fine. If you think that, that is your choice. But is that going to change anything for you? Because if you're in a situation right now where you are not moving the needle forward, well, what else are you going to do, right? And what do you have to lose by trying this out and seeing if it can finally get you to press the record button and start making content for your YouTube channel? Okay, guys, that's all for this video, and I hope this helps. Try this out, take action on these ideas, and start making content and build your channel. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.